I welcome everyone, be it through the recording or in person. Um, we're dealing with the soul and its instrument, the body of work called The Soul and Its Instrument by Lucille Cedarkrantz. And today we'll be working with lesson 3. And from here on out, we will be working twice a month rather than once a month so that we can integrate this information, this body of wisdom, really not information, this wisdom, and begin to address it in a meditative way and communicate about it more consistently. That's the word, more consistently. And that way it stays in our brain. Humanity at large is working with a shift, major shifts all over the place. But on a spiritual level, humanity at large is working to shift from an emotional polarization into a mental one. And we are also working to develop humanity at large in this particular time that we are in and have been in. We're moving from personality consciousness into soul consciousness. Okay? So that's a big shift. We have been living within the aspect of the persona for a long period of time. Mental, astral, physical. That's usually what we're talking about when we're talking about the persona. In this particular lesson, one additional category, mental, astral, and etheric. The etheric body is what it is we're dealing with. And why the physical is not addressed in this particular lesson is because we're dealing more with the inward aspects of the being. And the physical body is not considered to be a principle at this period of time. It's simply that vehicle, that instrument that we use from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. But what it is we do with all of those aspects that are integrated within the vehicle is what we're really talking about when we talk about soul and its instrument. This particular lesson, the subject headings are the threefold instrument of contact and the etheric network, the 4 major energies of the etheric body, the 7 centers or chakras of the etheric body, and meditation on the etheric body. We will do a meditation, and usually there is some form of meditation at the end of each session. In this lesson, we shall study the instrument of contact through which the soul must work while incarnate. I shall have to speak generally and in broad outlines in order to cover this large subject in a few short lessons. Much then will not be given and will have to be filled in later through study and meditation as well as experience. So it is actually basically saying that basics are given in this lesson. Take the lesson into study and meditation. And as it says in the next lesson, in the next paragraph, contemplation. And one will be able to ascertain or grasp even more. Okay? I would suggest that you learn to enter that meditative state known as contemplation in order to arrive at an understanding of these lessons. Most of the material given can be defined as seed material. The word contemplation is a Latin word, and the templum is Latin, meaning temple, and con, meaning with. So it's the aspect of going into the temple, going into one's inner temple that we're talking about when we talk about contemplation. It's the inner meaning. going into one's sacred space. Um, and the process of contemplation, um, Adyashanti, I don't know if you're familiar with Adyashanti. He's a Zen monk. He's done a lot, written many, many books. And he basically says that contemplation is the aspect of, it's kind of like an addendum to meditation. Meditation is more formal, but contemplation is the aspect of kind of focusing inward on a particular seed thought or a particular idea or thought in it or word, okay, in itself. And you can simply, um, it requires that we unlearn, in a way, how we think thought is. We have to open to new pathways of awareness when we're talking about contemplation. Contemplation uses both the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Okay. It's kind of using mindfulness in the background and um, observation in the foreground. Okay. Mindfulness and kind of like imaginative thinking in the foreground. And you bring both of them together. Okay. Um, what did Adyashanti say? He said something that I loved. Hold on a second. Made it very, very simple, as he has a tendency to do. He says that it is the art of holding a word or a phrase patiently in silence and stillness of awareness until it begins to disclose deeper and deeper meanings. Okay. Um, when one contemplates, you have the ability to transcend beyond the limits of our analytical mind. Okay? Contemplation can take us many places. And as I was always taught, with meditation and contemplation, that when you do that, it's like entering into the trunk of a tree. Okay? You're in the trunk of the tree. And as you're contemplating, the mind can take you many places, off on different branches. You can go on this side or up on this side or over on this side and branches, and you find yourself, and you can go many different places. But if you stay with the initial seed thought or idea, instead of allowing yourself to run off, okay? If you find yourself running off, you just bring it back. That's what we do with meditation. We don't get upset. We just kind of softly realize it and bring it back. But the aspect of contemplation, which you can do laying down on a beach chair, okay, by the side of the pool. You can do it while soft music is in the background, warm music is whatever. You can do it with a crowd of people around, um, if you wanted to. Ideally, um, it's important for a certain aspect of stillness, quietness. But when you contemplate something, what happens, and you stay focused on whatever that seed thought or sentence or phrase or word is, it begins to amplify. Again, left and right hemispheres of the brain are working. And you get to a point where you are realizing that something is happening. Okay. And if you allow yourself to go into whatever that something is, many times you can all of a sudden pick up an idea. And it may not be an idea that you had. Many times when we do these kinds of things in meditation and or contemplation, you can be downloading information that's never hit the planet before. Okay, which is a lovely and exciting thing to be able to do. So, so you hold the phrase in awareness. That's contemplation. Most of the material given can be defined as seed material. Most of the material in this book. It is up to the student and time to nourish the seed to growth. This must always be the pattern by which spiritual truths are given to ensure the protection of those who are not ready for revelations. And remember, this book was written back in the 40s or 50s, late 50s. Hold on. I think about somewhere in the 50s. So at that time, we were in a time where it was felt very strongly that spiritual truths had to be hidden. We're now in a totally different time where humanity is awakening faster than was ever thought would have been possible. So the spiritual truths are coming out all over the place. Though the time is now when much can be revealed, which has heretofore been hidden, it must necessarily follow the tried and true methods of projection. In this way, the safety of the many is assured. The instrument of the soul is threefold in nature, being composed of three energy bodies coexistent in time and space. These energy bodies are 1, the mental, 2, the astral, and 3, the etheric body. So the mental body, obviously, connected with the mind. The astral body, connected with the emotional aspect of ourself. The etheric body, that aspect of ourselves that emanates from our physical body, sometimes 2 to 3 inches, depending on the evolution of the person, maybe more from the body. Okay. And the etheric, we'll be talking about more in more detail as we go forward. It's a very, very important body. When we want to change something, when we want to heal something, when we want to connect with energies that are large energies that are really, well, we can connect with anything on the etheric level, okay? We can connect with the etheric body of humanity. We can connect with the etheric energy of the planets. We can connect with the etheric energy of the nation, of our environment, of our loved ones. Everything is completely enveloped by the etheric. Yeah. I've not listed the dense physical body because it is not a principle. It is a temporary effect of short duration when observed from the perspective that sees the evolutionary scheme as a whole. It is an appearance or effect of the etheric, which we shall consider now in more detail. The etheric network is the vital energy body that feeds and makes possible the life of the dense body. It interpenetrates all substance, relates it, and holds it in form. It is electrical in nature, being composed of many tiny lines of force, which form channels for the flow of energies throughout its entire system. The etheric network is the vital energy body that feeds and makes possible the life of the dense body. It interpenetrates all substance, relates it and holds it in form. It is electrical in nature, being composed of many tiny lines of force, which form channels for the flow of energies throughout its entire system. It is said that seers are able, shamans and seers are able to see the flowing, the active flowing energy of the etheric body um, as radiant lines of force all around the human aura. Um, the physical etheric is malleable. It's also called chi in the Oriental way. The acupuncture systems as we know it are looking at the physical etheric. Um, and they use the nadis or the meridians in the nadis. Millions of tiny, tiny lines, radiant lines, they blend with the nerves. Kirlian photography photographs the etheric body. The etheric body supports everything, not only the physical of each person and every organism, okay, but also the world, the entire world. Most of the energy of the etheric radiant energy is coming through prana from the sun. Okay. Um, Prana, also known as the vitality aspect. It There's nothing that can live without prana. It is that which allows the organism to be active. And once there is no prana, there's no more activity. Um, which is why it's really important. Remember when people were not well, all the hospitals took people outside to sit in the sun. Okay? Because the sun is vital. It's vital. It's giving us pranic vital energy. And we'll talk more about that. It's really important. Every day I try to get 15 minutes. I put my back to the sun because most of the chakras are coming through the back into the body. A lot of people aren't aware of that, but it's true. Um, there's a physical etheric aspect, and there's also a physical etheric network. Okay, and a physical etheric envelope, which includes everything: the mental, the astral, the physical, the spiritual, all aspects of life on this planet, the planet itself. It's that planetary etheric body. Okay, um, so it's extremely important, and we could go on from there, but I won't. From here, the etheric body interpenetrates every atom of the physical body and extends out some inches from it, varying in distance according to the evolution of the consciousness concerned. It is composed of many classifications of energies, four of which we shall consider here. Number one, the sum total of energies that govern individual form. That's what we've been talking about mostly. It is the type of etheric energy that makes a person an individual. It relates the particles of some substance to one another and the central life. When they talk about the central life, that phrasing means the one life, that which we know is the divine, okay? The divine principle. causing the emergence of an integrated whole, possible of intercommunication, conscious direction, and coordinated activity. Without this underlying network, the human form would fall apart. In cases of poor integration or gaps between the etheric and the physical, we see feeble-minded, imbecilic, what have you. Remember, this was written back in the 50s when words like that was the nomenclature, okay? We're now in a totally different time. And many times when we talk about gaps between the etheric and the physical, drugs can cause gaps between the etheric and the physical. You can get holes in your auric field because of narcotics or excessive drug use that is not plant-based. The indwelling entity has no adequate contact with and therefore no control of its dense body. Number two, the sum total of energies underlying and governing the environment which the individual is a part. The energy relates people to their families. This energy relates people to their families, associates, their locale, their home, and makes possible most of their daily activities. This energy is not confined to individuals in the same manner as are the former energies, but interpenetrates the environment in which they live, move, and have their being. So the total consciousness of a neighborhood or a city the basic hue, let's say, of the thought forms within that city. Is it how do people think? Okay, is it a sense of being a sanctuary city where it welcomes all people, or is it a sundown town where it wants certain people out of their neighborhood before the sun goes down? All of those things kind of are is it who is leading? Who are the leaders of the city or the town? Um, are there universities or colleges in the town? Okay. University colleges um, create a different environment completely in a neighborhood. Um, yeah, all of those things we have to take into consideration. So this energy is not confined to individuals in the same manner as are the former energies, but interpenetrates the environment in which they live, move, and have their being. Number three, the sum total of energies that interpenetrate and influence the nation or peculiar race. The resulting relationships are obvious. So nation, local environment, individual, and number four, the sum total of energies which interpenetrate and govern the planet itself and relate humanity to everything therein. All of that is under the auspices of the etheric body. A study of the above energies will bring a picture of at-one-ment underlying the appearance of separation. Isn't that a beautiful sentence? I love that sentence. It is so true. Okay. This picture is very important to the student. Therefore, I would advise you to dwell upon it deeply and often. Bottom line, there is no separation, period, under the etheric. Okay, and not under, but because of the etheric envelope, the etheric network, the etheric body. All of it might be smaller aspects of the larger being the etheric envelope, but each one is connected to each. And all of it is galvanized and brought forth by solar energy, the sun. And the sun is related to the Christ. So when we're talking about the etheric body, the etheric network, the etheric envelope, we're talking about the energy of the Christ that is everywhere equally present. That is not in this text, but that is what we're talking about. This picture is very important to the student. Therefore, I would advise you to dwell upon it deeply and often. The physical body depends entirely upon the etheric for its appearance of action. It is the etheric network underlying the brain and nervous system that carries the subtle stimuli so necessary to human activity, but rarely considered by the average psychologist. It is the carrier of the mental energy, astral energy, and physical force. Through the medium of the etheric network, the mind impresses the brain. Through this same medium, the astral body or desire nature impresses the brain and the nervous system. Through this same medium, the force necessary to action is fed into the physical body via the nervous system and the endocrine glands. When the etheric body is sufficiently developed, the soul utilizes it to dominate and control the mental nature, the astral consciousness, and the physical body. This is what you call soul fusion. Okay? Um, Divine mergence, which is what we are all focused on, whether we know it or not. That is the goal. The etheric body contains within it certain force centers that can be defined as centers of transmission for incoming and outgoing energies. Of the many centers in the etheric network, we shall consider here the 7 major centers and their functions. These are located in the etheric network that extends outside the physical and from there interpenetrate the physical counterpart. So we're beginning to talk about the chakras here. If I remember correctly, we have 7 major chakras in the physical body. Those chakras are duplicated in the brain, esoterically. We have 21 minor chakras, but that would take a whole lesson on esoteric anatomy. I say all of that to say that this whole understanding of the etheric body and our chakra system is extremely, extremely important. And uh, give us the ability to work with the body in more knowing ways, heal with greater wisdom, heal others with greater wisdom if we are into healing, if we have that ability. And it helps to inform, how do I say this? It connects us more deeply. That this awareness connects us more deeply with our soul. And in doing so, the meditative process becomes more online, more active, more penetrating. I shall very quickly list these 7 major centers and their obvious function in order that you may arrive at a picture of the etheric body itself. This information is given for consideration, but not for experimentation as yet. Please keep this in mind. We will have a meditation at the end of this session. Number 1, the head center is located from 3 to 6 inches above the top of the head, extending down into the head itself, also known as the crown. It is the center that puts the lower consciousness in touch with the spiritual soul, and in most cases is relatively quiescent. So the crown is also called the Sahasrara chakra. We don't really need to know that, but or the 1,000-petaled lotus, yeah, that's what it is. And the crown connects us with what in Sanskrit has been called, I don't know what it was called in Sanskrit, but the translation was um, the rain cloud of knowable things. Okay. Um, Everything that is possible for us to know within a particular age or civilization can be accessed from the crown center. It is the highest of the persona centers. And even though it's outside the head, 2 to 3 inches above the head, and really sometimes a little higher, depending on the level of consciousness, um, it 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 is still a persona center, as is the ajna center, which we'll be talking about in the next. It is the center that puts the lower consciousness in touch with the spiritual soul, and in most cases, it is relatively quiescent. Number 2, the ajna center. The ajna center is located between the eyes, 3 to 6 inches outside of the forehead. It is the least accessed of all the chakra centers by humanity, but is one of the most important ones for disciples or spiritual people on the path to access. And extending into the forehead. The center is relatively quiescent until such time as the threefold personality becomes more or less integrated and can be consciously focused on the mental plane. And that happens through the process of meditation. It's the ability to shift our focus from here in the body, which is really more of a horizontal focus, to a vertical focus toward divinity, or in line with the divinity is everywhere equally present, but at least well, that's where our pineal gland is. So it's also being able to, the ajna is not where the pineal gland is. Do not confuse. We're in Mercury retrograde. I want to make sure everybody's understanding me. I'm not saying anything that's confusing. But the ajna center here is connected. Its touchdown point is the pituitary gland. The crown, its touchdown point is the pineal gland. Okay. So Um, there is a process of moving from an exterior focus, which is the horizontal focus, to a vertical focus through the pineal, straight out, straight up and above. Okay. Um, at this time, the center is activated and plays an important part in the alignment of soul, mind, brain. It relates the three in awareness and aids in the creation of a magnetic field of mind so important to the growth of a student's understanding. This magnetic field of mind is used by the soul and the disciple in service to humanity or the race, is the way the wisdom puts it. And when they say race, they're not speaking of any particular race, they're speaking of the human race. When the disciple nears the third initiation, very important initiation, the third initiation. Humanity at large is going through the first and second initiation. And believe it or not, we're in a time now where initiations no longer are taken one at a time, but are taken collectively as a group. Humanity is undergoing, just as the planet is undergoing, a major initiation right now, which is why we see so much happening. The third initiation is a particularly important initiation because at the third initiation, there is a forked path, so to speak. You either go this way or you go that way. You either, yes. Um, the third initiation is about transfiguration. It's a major shift within. It includes the aspect of divine emergence, where the soul the soul is now in control of its vehicle. There's no separation. Okay. Uh, the personality now belongs to the soul. Okay. Soul and personality are one. There's no variations on the theme. It's not a, do I feel like it? Maybe I want to. No, it's not about that. The soul is in sole control of its vehicle. Okay. And that's what we're working toward. It's a major initiation. It's also an initiation that determines whether a person is going to be serving the right-hand path or the left-hand path. Okay. Um, the White Lodge or the Dark Lodge. Amazingly, amazingly enough, the training can be very much the same to a certain extent. The difference is the Dark Lodge works toward the separated self. The White Lodge works toward service to humanity, the planet. Okay. When the disciple nears the third initiation, an interplay of energy is set up between the head center and the ajna, which compels the entire system to reorientation. This last statement is important to those of you who find yourselves in the process of becoming adjusted to the head polarization. Number 3, the throat center. The throat center is located from 3 to 6 inches outside the body, at the back of the body, about midway in the neck. It is very active within the intellectual, although not conditioned and influenced by the two head centers in most cases. Therefore, all mental types who concern themselves with concrete form meaning lower mind, spitting out facts, quantitative knowledge, uh, uh, a way of speaking that in a way is separated from the heart. Okay. Um, you hear it a lot in universities and intellectual types, as it says here. It is very active within the intellectual, although not conditioned and influenced by the two head centers. You hear it a lot in courts. When you hear the lawyers jousting, that's throat center activity, okay? Going back and forth. Therefore, all mental types who concern themselves with concrete form, with little or no spiritual understanding, are influenced by energies reaching them via this center. All mental types who concern themselves with concrete form, with little or no spiritual understanding, are influenced by energies reaching them via this center, and in turn, exert influence via the same center. Very often, such individuals are very narrow-minded regarding things that do not demand their interest, not having the insight characteristic of the active ajna. The ajna center, I neglected to say, having an ajna focus is golden, okay, to say the least. The ajna center is that chakra center that is the switchboard for every center below it. It is the place of the observer. One can sit in the ajna center. One can make the ajna center your hangout place, the place where you hang out. And it's a good thing sometimes in your still moments, or even while we're sitting in this, listening to this, find out where you hang out. Where do you hang out most? Which chakra center do you find yourself hanging out most? You know, feel it. Where are you? Okay. Um, that will tell you a lot. As I said, it is the ajna center, it's the place of the observer. It's the switchboard for all the chakras below it. When one can sit within the ajna center and experience your environment, your life on a day-to-day basis, watch movies from the ajna center, listen to the news from the ajna center, you get a totally different read on things. Okay? Um, when one becomes adept or adapted to the ability to move from within their body, in their vehicle, to the ajna center, 2 to 3 inches out. Sometimes it's really 3 to 6 inches beyond the forehead. It's really it's not 2 to 3, it's 3 to 6 inches beyond the forehead. Then you are not normally triggered by the things that trigger you. and cause emotional reactions. You can experience things that normally trigger you, and you can look out from the Ajna center and see things in a totally different way. It's a powerful place to be. Very often, such individuals are very narrow-minded regarding things that do not demand their interest, not having the insight characteristic of the active ajna. They are normally methodical, intolerant, and critical. When this center is dominated by the head and coordinated with the ajna center, now we're talking about the throat, really, we're talking about the throat. When this center is dominated by the head and coordinated with the ajna, we see individuals who display a great potential for good, who are dependable, very capable, and who are almost always a powerful influence with their particular sphere of influence. They will invariably use words as a medium of influence, but in a manner totally different than is the case with lesser involved individuals. Fourth is the heart center. The heart center is located from 3 to 6 inches outside the spine, between the shoulder blades, where the shoulder blades, if you were to tuck your shoulders back, where the two areas, the two shoulder blades meet, that's where the heart center is. And extending into the body. This center is an extremely important one in that it feeds the physical body with vital life energies via the physical heart and the bloodstream. It also relates the individual intuitively and as a soul with the soul of all others. Energies pouring in via this center impel the individual to seek, to establish relationships, and to aspire. A very interesting correspondent. Any questions on any of that before we move? Okay. The heart center is a very, very gentle place to be, I find. It's a gentle place. When I was younger, I never wanted to go to the heart center. Don't ask me why. I was more, I guess, a mental type, a throat center type. Um, and since I've been studying and really as of mostly, really, I listened to something by Greg Braden, which I thought was wonderful. Um, and he's was talking, I think it's called about something about superhuman or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but he goes deeply into the heart center and teaches everyone how to just enter, holding your hands here at your heart. And his way of was just to kind of like make an announcement that you want to enter the heart by saying, my heart, and then to allow yourself to drift inward into the heart and just sit in that space. Regardless of what it is you feel, just sit in it. And know if you feel any tweaks or aches or pains, it's something that you can breathe into and call in healing energies. Speak to it, ask it what's going on. But it's a beautiful, beautiful place to sit in and open up to and allow that energy of the heart to infiltrate every aspect of your being and your day. It's very gentle, I must say. Um, so the heart center is located 3 to 6 inches outside the spine between the shoulder blades extending into the body. It's an extremely important one in that it feeds the physical body with vital life energies via the physical heart and the bloodstream. It also relates the individual intuitively and as a soul with the soul of all others. Energies pouring in via this center impel the individual to seek, to establish relationships, and to aspire. Aspire, very key word there. The very interesting correspondent can be drawn here for those who can intuit. The heart center corresponds to the physical sun, as does the Christ. That which provides the conditions conducive to growth. Think on this. This center, like all others, must be dominated by the head center and coordinated with the ajna to be effective in service. When an alignment between the head, ajna, throat, and heart takes place, a human becomes a creator. In the creative artists of today, we usually see an alignment of the head, throat, and heart. When the ajna center becomes the coordinator, we shall see creative works that will surpass anything known today insofar as influence is concerned. And that is beginning to happen more and more right now as we speak. Okay? Because, yeah, there's a whole reason for that. Fourth ray of the fourth ray out of all the seven rays, which we have not talked about. I talk about it a little in the teachings before this from creative thinking. Fourth ray is harmony through conflict, and it is coming online now as we move more deeply into seventh ray, which is spirit, um, the movement of spirit into matter. And they're saying the artwork that will be happening now is going to be off the charts, things that we have never ever experienced before. Number 5, the solar plexus center is located from 3 to 6 inches outside the spine, just above the waist. This center is active within most of humanity today. Most of humanity hangs out within the solar plexus. Okay? The solar plexus is the center of I want, I want, I want, I want, I want. Incessant wants. Okay? It is also the center of I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm that tug of war that goes on between people. And we're seeing it now more so than ever before within the polarization within the country. And really, when we look around the world, we're seeing it many times. But more so, it's entrenched in this country. So, the center is active within most of humanity today, particularly all of those who are emotional types. An overactive solar plexus is responsible for all astral phenomena of lower and sometimes higher nature. It has eventually to be dominated and finally superseded by the heart center. The solar plexus has two, it's the only chakra that has two centers, two focused centers. It has a lower center and a higher center. The lower center is the one that is always fighting the tug of wars between my way and the highway. Okay. I'm right. No, yeah, that whole thing. Um, and the higher center is the higher aspirational center, which is really, really moving us into the heart. Okay. The higher center, it's very aspirational. Okay. Um, and it's the movement from that lower level when an aspirant or a seeker is beginning to want to understand more spiritually. They will move into that higher aspirational center of their solar plexus before moving up into the heart. And number 6 is the sacral center, located from 3 to 6 inches outside the spine again, and about 3 inches below the waist or below the belly button. The center transmits the creative energies to the reproductive organs and has to be dominated and superseded by the throat center. Each one of these centers has a higher counterpart. Okay, which we'll learn about later. And number 7 is the Kundalini center, is located 3 to 6 inches outside the spine, just above the coccyx. This center is the last to be awakened and is lifted to the Ajna center at the 3rd initiation. Very little can be given about it at this time, as the consciousness of the race does not warrant the revelation of its mystery. It is analogous to the Virgin Mary and is esoterically called the latent fire of matter. So the Kundalini center is also known as the root chakra. Okay. In order to clarify this instruction, I shall list once again the centers with a word symbol of their functions. The head center is connected to the energy of divine will. The Ajna center is connected to the energy of divine love wisdom. The throat center is connected to divine intelligence or divine creativity or matter, mother, substance. The heart center is connected to life aspect. The solar plexus center is connected to the form aspect. The sacral center is connected to propagation. And the Kundalini or root chakra is connected to appearance. So, with all of this information, I would ask, are there any questions before we go into a meditation? Anything you'd like to ask? Anything that comes to mind?
I have a question.
Sure.
When we're talking about, which one was it? Maybe it was the solar plexus. The heart. We said the heart is dominated by the head, but it needs to be coordinated with the
Ajna.
ajna to be effective.
Yes.
Can you just elaborate on that a little bit so I can understand that better?
Yes. When we are meditating on a regular basis, on a daily basis, there are certain energies, certain things happen in our being as we meditate. We're seriously meditating. Meditation, I always say, is the key to the inner levels. It is also the key because it shows us the blueprint of who we really are. Okay? It connects us with our soul. When we are seriously, habitually, never letting it go, meditating on a regular basis, the soul becomes aware that its vehicle is now available for it to use. Okay? It's coming online. Its vehicle is coming online. It now can have access to its vehicle. Otherwise, the soul will go incarnations without connecting with its vehicle, other than maybe through the aspect of conscience. Okay? It is only when the persona indicates to the soul, that it is reaching for it, that the soul begins to come online and become more active with its vehicle. So, what does that do? It sets up a connection between the head center, the ajna center, and the heart center, okay? Or the throat center. It sets up a connection, and this is an etheric connection we're talking about, okay? Because these chakras then are becoming activated. So that's what it's actually saying. You see, do you understand that? Does that answer your question? Okay. So this particular meditation, um, you will have my voice taking you through it. This is something that you can do every day until the next session, which is in 2 weeks from now. Okay. We work with the first Sunday of the month and the third Sunday of the month are my classes. Okay. Accessing the Ajna Center is, as I said, something that humanity at large does not do. How do we access the Ajna Center? As it is requested that we do in this particular meditation. And I do it, by the way, it's accessing the Ajna Center is something that we also do in creative thinking, somewhere like maybe halfway through the course, we begin to work within the Ajna Center. Meditation has 3 components to it. It has the alignment, which is an aspect of the ascent. The meditation proper. You get to where you've already done the alignment, you get to where you want to be, and you actually begin to do the inner work. And so that's called the meditation proper, the ascent, the meditation proper, and the descent. Okay? Descents can be intricate, alignments can be intricate. But in that this is an initial meditation, the alignments and the descent are very easy, smooth. We are working with the Ajna Center, and that is different. How one works with the Ajna Center, if you've never worked with it before, when we get to that point where we're working with the Ajna Center, imagine sitting between the brows, you have a unicorn horn. Imagine you have a unicorn, an imaginary unicorn horn. And we know the unicorn horns can sometimes be rather long, okay? Or it can be like a 6-inch unicorn horn, fine. But you have one. And you imagine that the Ajna Center is indicated as though you put an apple on that unicorn horn, okay? And that apple is sitting about make it 3 inches away from the forehead, because that's easier to attain initially. Once you become more comfortable there, then you can extend it out to 6 inches. And you will you'll be in the brain, in the mind, and you will move your consciousness from the mind out to extending out through beyond the brow, beyond the forehead, to that location where you know that apple is, which is the asana, which is representative of the Ajna Center. Okay. That creates a bit of more stability for someone working with the Ajna Center. Okay. When I started working with the Ajna Center, I did not have that that information, that little piece of information, and I found it to be, it felt like I was moving down Alice in Wonderland's hole. You know, that little, it was just a gyration, constant. It was that kind of energy. But with this unicorn horn, I found it very easy to move it straight out, fix it there, sense it, and then bring it back when it's time to bring it back. Okay? So it's a movement out and later on before at the end of the meditation in, or you can leave it there. You can establish it there and experience, try to experience an hour of your day or try to wash the dishes and while you're doing, working with the Ajna Center, while you're seated in the Ajna Center or anything else for that matter. Okay. Okie dokie. So let's prepare for meditation and feet flat on the floor or tailor fashion, whichever is comfortable for you. If you're sitting on the floor, and we take a deep breath and release it. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And take a third deep breath. And as you release it, relax your physical body. Ask your nervous system to relax your physical body and know that it will obey. Take another deep breath, moving into the emotional, or what is also known as the astral body. And experience it becoming calm and serene, quiet. And take another deep breath, moving into your mental body. See it as an ovoid around your head. And as you release it, become poised and alert, focused. And focus the consciousness, move your consciousness from within that mental body out through the center between the brows into the ajna center 2 to 3 inches outside of the forehead. And here, align with your soul, knowing that it is in no particular direction. It is everywhere equally present, but imagine a triangle of or a line of light extending upward above the head center. And send love to your soul. Visualize from this place within the ajna center, aligned with your soul. Visualize the etheric network underlying your physical body. Two to 3 inches extending off or beyond your body. A field of light with intricate webbing, lines of force moving everywhere. Experience the quality of your etheric network. Experience its color, its activity, its essence. See it all completely surrounding your entire body, connecting with your chakra centers. Experience its vitality. Take note of any areas where it feels less charged than any place else. And breathe into that area the energy of pure light, prana, life. Then extend the I consciousness, the consciousness of your I-ness, from the ajna throughout the entire body, etheric body, that interpenetrates the physical. Take your awareness and move it through your consciousness, move it through your etheric body. Do this slowly and carefully. You may find an area that feels shallower than other areas. And moving your eye consciousness through, note the variation, the difference as you move through it. When the eye consciousness has been fully extended into the etheric, speak these words. My etheric body is revitalized and energized. Now withdraw the consciousness back along that line, connecting it to the forehead, back into the ajna. Withdraw the consciousness back into the ajna and speak the words, my physical body is galvanized into right action. to end this meditation, simply relax the attention and return to normal focus. This is a meditation, as I said, that you can do daily, which will give you the ability to move back and forth into the Ajna center. You'll make it an exercise, and it will definitely benefit not only you, but your etheric body. I would like to also share with you, hold on. This is a beautiful photo, not a photograph, painting of the etheric body. But it actually shows that you see the light all around the physical, below the feet, around the feet, up along the body, even the etheric energy of the chalice that she's holding, and the energy of the etheric energy that's flying off beyond the body, okay, around it. It's really spectacular, around the head and the hair. That's an aspect of the etheric body that you can bring that visual into your mind as you're doing this meditation, okay, over the next couple weeks. And with that, we will end this particular session. I'll stop sharing. And I thank you. I thank you both for your time and your focus. And if you have any questions, please know that you can contact me either through IFGT or through my email, which they will be happy to give you. Um, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Take care. Take good care.
Be
Again,
well.
you too. Be well as well. Thank you so much. Your etheric energy is going to bloom with this. Will make you well. Okay. Our
Indeed.
etheric energy. Take good care. Thank you so much. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.